Initiating diversity, equity, and inclusion, otherwise known as DEI efforts in our organizations, is not always easy, especially since everyone will not be on board. You will have some naysayers who think the emphasis on DEI is disruptive to the organization. We know that's not true because even before DEI was even a term, employees experienced bias such as microaggressions in the workplace. Instead of calling it out, they either suffered in silence or moved to another organization only to run the risk of having the same experience. The only difference now is that more people are speaking up because they have a platform. Nevertheless, you still have people in organizations who are tired of hearing about diversity and hope that it's just a fad. So how do we get everyone in our organization to embrace a DEI culture? In other words, how do we get others on board with our beliefs? Can you think of another scenario where this question applies? Yes, the tug of war between vaccinated people and anti-vaxxers in the wake of COVID is a perfect example. I've gotten the COVID vaccine and I understand how crucial it is to one's health to get the COVID vaccine. With that said, however, I don't think of myself as more superior to anyone who isn't vaccinated. This often happens both ways, where one side feels like they have the right to shame or blame someone into obedience. Invoking fear in people, ridiculing them, or guilting them will have the opposite effect than intended. I learned this at an early age when I battled against deportation. Being downtrodden to elicit pity or guilt didn't often work, and when it did, it was short-lived and would lead to those same people resenting me. For example, I had a friend who felt sorry for me throughout our early 20s during the wake of my stateless and undocumented nightmare. But by the end of our friendship a few years later, I learned that she said, "I'm tired of the focus always being on Martine and her stupid immigration problems." My point in sharing that story or anecdote is that it's futile to motivate people from a point of negativity. We get people in our organization to embrace diversity not through force or coercion, but through invitation. If you approach the person with an attitude of you being right and them being wrong, and that you have to fix their way of thinking, then you're guaranteed to repel them or put them on the defensive. Simply put, you're never going to get someone to agree with you if they feel attacked. I was a college sophomore when I pointed out to my white, male, cisgendered friend that perhaps it wasn't that just all the Black people were sitting at the same lunch tables. Maybe all the white kids were also sitting with white kids at the lunch tables, but because they were the majority, it was less obvious. He thought about that comment for years, and today he and I have the most healthy conversations on race relations. Now, it doesn't have to always take someone that long to gain perspective, but we want to let them do it at their own pace. When you approach those who don't believe in DEI, find the thing you have in common first and make a connection from that place of shared interest. Instead of forcing people into diversity, invite them to tackle new ways to grow the business, to grow as managers, and to grow their teams, and present DEI as a core principle.